You're watching this video because you'd like to think of your own experiment. So let's think about what that takes. First, you're going to take a moment and you can press pause while you think about what it is you are trying to find out. The learning objective today is to identify what plants need to survive. So what are you trying to find out if we were to do an experiment about that? Do you already know something about the topic, maybe from what you've learned last year or what you know of our real life connections? If we are trying to find out if something has an effect on something else, we really need to think about the skill of comparing. This is when we're taking two things, or maybe more than two things, and we're talking about what's the same and what's different. For example, I'm trying to find out if ice cream melts faster if it's in the sun. I could just put some ice cream in the sun and watch it and see if it melts quickly and think, did that melt faster than if I'd left it in the classroom? But it's not really a successful experiment because I'm not confident that the answer is completely correct. To compare it accurately, I need to put some ice cream in the sun, but I need to compare it to ice cream that isn't in the sun. I can time how long each of these take to melt, and then I'll compare them. And then I will know for definite if ice cream melts faster in the sun or not. To make sure it's a fair test, I'd need to use the same amount of ice cream and the same kind of ice cream. I would also need to use the same kind of bowl. A fair test is when you keep everything the same, except for the thing you are comparing. So my bowl would be the same, the flavour of ice cream, the brand of ice cream, the amount of ice cream I put in there. That would all be the same. But what would change is whether it was in the sun or not, because that's what I would be comparing. Sometimes you might want to test a few different things. I might keep some ice cream in the fridge, as well as some ice cream outside, and some ice cream in the classroom. The ice cream that's in room temperature in the classroom is what we would call the control. This is the one object that's being kept under normal conditions. We're not making that ice cream in the classroom any colder by putting it in the fridge. We're not making it any warmer by putting it in the sun. This is the best way to compare in an experiment because you can see what exact effects the thing you changed has on what you're testing. Now you've heard my example. How could you design an experiment to find out what plants need to survive? Remember, how can I answer my question? Think about what you already know about plants. What could you do to answer that question? What could you change? Maybe you would be looking at a couple of different seeds and you change something of each of them. I want you then to think about how you can make the test fair. How are you going to make sure that everything stays the same except for the thing you change? And I also want you to think about if there's a way you can use a control to compare the effects of your experiment. Is there something that you can keep in normal circumstances without changing anything? On your sheet, you can draw pictures, you can make notes, you can write sentences. This is a planning sheet for you to start thinking about how you could ask questions, but also plan them. And that's where it comes under our inquiry section of our wheel on our working wall. If you have any questions, you just need to ask one of your teachers.